that early intervention with information of if I do become a victim, what is the process like? What am I going to go through? What do I have to do? What are the steps that I have to take? I think that level of early intervention, that level of information being accessible and being on demand and being portrayed to the right people at the right time, I think is very important. And I also think that, one of the biggest things that NECX is trying to do is that when somebody asks for help, they don't really know what that help is going to look like. They're just asking for help. They just want to feel better. They want a better outcome. And I think, a lot of different victims and survivors, the situations that they go through are so different, even when it's, under the same crime, right? Like, a lot of times I think, when we break down, like, okay, let's say this is I'm going to use an example from America, if that's okay. But, if we say, like, oh, this is a victim of crime, that's a DV victim that lives in Fairfax, Virginia, what we usually do is we'll just start collecting all the different DV support providers and say, hey, here's all the DV providers, this is going to help you out. What NECX thinks is that there's another variable in there that we need to be considering. It's the situational context. What is the situation this person is in, right? And so I think, we're going to obviously talk about it a lot more when we kind of go into the technology of things, but situational adaptability is something that NECX really looks into, right? Like, how do we adapt to the situation based on the service that that person needs right now, where they are in their moment, in their navigation, in that very period. Yeah.
We are all very curious to see the next slide, so you can go over there and show us.
Of course. Do I just click
Yes.
next?
Yes, next. I should have just in the first place, but yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So here, before I click on this link, this is something that me and the team tried out. We were supposed to make presentations, and we made a lot of presentations, but because the conversation is about AI today, we wanted to kind of give real-world examples of how AI can really help out, right? And one of the biggest ways that my team and I really utilize AI is to save us time. Is to make sure that we can do tasks faster, more efficiently, and save us time. So this presentation that you're about to see was actually developed using AI. So it was, we're able to build our own website. So I'll show you guys this here. So the first slide was supposed to be everything I just said over there. So it was built by people that faced it ourselves, and a big part of the knowledge and the information that we gained when we were building NECX in the early days was those advocates, the chiefs of police, the professors, everybody that really supported us with their knowledge, with their experience. And we were able to kind of collide that level of experience with our experience with technology and our knowledge of technology, and kind of really create that beautiful synergy to really create that bridge between victim advocacy and technology of the modern world. This is the current process that I was talking about, right? It's very difficult for somebody to navigate if they have no idea about it. If it's your first time actually having to navigate the justice system, no matter from what aspect, what type of crime you're going through, it's very difficult. Again, this slide was supposed to go when I answered the last thing. This as well. This as well. This was just talking about the transforming chaos and clarity. But I also had a part for security, because I know that's extremely important. When we talk about security, there's something that I want to highlight, because of course we prioritize the compliances to make sure that we're federally compliant with all the different compliances that are out there. But on top of being compliant and having the typical end-to-end encryption and the DDoS protection, what NECX is trying to do is create that first real safe haven for victims of crime, right? And that means that we needed to implement very unique security encryptions. So a couple that I'd love to share with you guys is, PII is extremely important to make sure that we're protecting personal identifiable information for victims and survivors, right? And so what our platform really has, and it's something that we actually developed ourselves, it's called PIIP. So it's Personal Identifiable Information Protection. And so throughout the entire platform, no matter if you're talking to a victim advocate, or you're joining a digital support group, or even if you're just talking to, let's say, NECX AI on the platform, we're protecting your PII at all times. In the back end at all times, no personal information is ever shared. It's completely encrypted. We also have disguising the app is something that we're working on. So when victims and survivors actually open the app for the first time, they have a 4-digit PIN code that you set up. And so when you open the app, it's going to open up to a calculator where you type in your 4-digit PIN code, and then it gives you access to the actual app. So kind of just taking these extra kind of precautions to make sure that victims and survivors feel safe when they're using our platform, right? It just doesn't feel like another WhatsApp or another Facebook that they're opening. Okay, so now we can kind of get into the demos. What we have here to demo for you guys today is some simulated demos. So if anybody really wants to see the actual next product, we have our booth right outside, so I'd love to show it to anybody. But what we did here today is just a simulated demo for specific features that we're working on right now. So we do a lot of work with AI, and R&D is huge for us. We do a lot of research and development is one of the biggest things that we put a lot of time into, and AI is currently the biggest thing that we're trying to see, like what is capable, like what can we really do with AI. So I have some 3 really cool features that I want to show you guys that we're working on right now. Number 1 is Grant Finder and Proposal Generator. So from the discussions and then the people that we work with in America as well, we've noticed that advocates are spending anywhere from hundreds and hundreds of hours every single month, every quarter on reports, on compliance reports, on researching grants, and then ending up writing that grant proposal, and then making sure that we're writing a strong grant proposal where we're using all of our data that we collected up for the last 12 months of working stuff. It's all of this stuff that gets involved, right? So what we realized is, the biggest goal of NECX from what we do for service providers is to save time, right? The more time we can save, no matter how we do it, that time can go back to dealing with victims, talking to victims, staying with victims. And so this right here is a simulated demo again, just to clarify. So for example, imagine, on NECX, you'd be able to see all the different grants that you're eligible for. So because we have your agency's details, we have, where we're able to understand what are the goals for your agency. We are able to track your PMT performance data as well. So that allows us to really understand where is your agency heading. What are you looking for? Where are things growing? Do you need more grants for, let's say, DV?
3 minutes.
Oh, okay. I'll hurry it up a little bit. I do talk a lot. Go a lot. It's not that you'll know. I do go on. But here, I'll show you guys real quick. So it finds you an eligible grant for your agency. Once you find that eligible grant, you can actually click summarize, so you don't have to read through a massive grant proposal. Once you summarize it, it'll tell you that you're eligible. It requires it matches your requirements. You'll be able to see a summary of the mandate and everything. You'll be able to select this grant now, and using NECX AI, you'll actually be able to generate that grant proposal. And so NECX AI will read about your performance data, will read about the grant's mandates and the grant's requirements and your agency's details, and will create the strongest grant proposal that this grant can take. And this AI that we're building is going to be trained on successful grant proposals. So it is literally trained to create successful grant proposals. And of course, after it creates it, you're able to actually talk to NECX AI, kind of like your assistant, to actually make edits on that grant proposal now, to make sure that you can add some manual touches to it. But I'll go ahead and move to the next one. Next, we have PMT data reporting. So similar to what I just said earlier, a lot of time goes into creating these reports, collecting that data, a lot of these different Excel sheets and forms, and I'm sure there's a lot of case management software as well, but I think the coolest thing that NECX AI can do is not just collect the data for you, but actually be able to provide that intelligence, right? And provide that level of observations, those narratives, those insights. And so imagine a place where we're able to actually track your data, and using that data, we're actually able to give you AI-generated insights. We can actually look into the demographics. And one thing I do want to clarify is all of this is non-identifiable data, meaning that the victim's personal information is always protected, and we're collecting non-identifiable data to still give you guys the benefits of growing your agency, of knowing who you're helping, of knowing where to expand onto, and kind of what are the current trends that are going on. So we have demographics. You can see a whole. That's the wrong one. Narratives. So this kind of gives an idea of how much is possible with AI, right? Like the human brain can only think of so many variables when the time is given, but using AI, we're able to really consider every single variable that is put out there using your data. Speed up. Okay, last one. This is my favorite one. So NECX at the moment is not working with any law enforcement departments. We did a pilot test with whole police departments where we are focusing on victim services, but this is a part of our R&D that we're working on right now. Is transcribing video footage for the use of investigations, for the use of, in court as well. So for example, you'd actually be able to upload a video footage, to just show you guys an example. as that video footage uploads, the AI would actually be able to track exactly what's going on in that video. Let's say if it's a body cam footage or a security camera footage, and you'd actually be able to talk to NECX, so you don't have to go through an entire 2-hour, 3-hour long video. And imagine not just videos, but you could actually add your notes, your case files, your videos, images, everything to one case file, and have your own AI that now you can talk to about that specific case. To ask about the details, ask about what happened in that video at 3 p.m. Did a guy wearing a blue shirt walk into the house? So all these different things where, it saves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of time, which, hopefully in return goes back into helping more victims, talking to more victims. I'm speeding up. I think that might be it.
Okay.
Awesome. That was it.
Okay, for further information, you can find him outside.
Yeah, we'll be right there next week.
So for the next one, you want to go here, and so he's talking about the global